I was my worst self when I was drunk. There's a lot of things that I just wanted to escape from. I didn't know how else to do it.
I hit rock bottom. I didn't want to talk about this because I didn't want to feel like a failure.
It takes a lot of courage to be able to admit some of those things.
Now I'm able to be present. That's the gift of sobriety. When did you start questioning your drinking habits? What happened in there when you were drinking?
There's been many, many mornings after a night of drinking that I questioned my entire life choices. It always came after a night of drinking, but in my mid-30s, I started thinking that I want more in my life, an improved version of myself, better quality of friends, being a better worker, being a better daughter, being a better friend.
What was the moment? Because I think we all have the moment when we are like, okay, I'm done. At least that's what happened to me.
The moment was when I started dating my current boyfriend, and I realized if I continued drinking, I couldn't be the best version of myself for me, which would reflect to be the best version for him, if that made any sense. So really the decision came to be healthier, more mindful, more present, and I couldn't be if I continued the same lifestyle. It really came up to a point where we both sat down together and I told him that I want to go alcohol free. And my partner wasn't a big drinker. So for him, even though I didn't ask him to quit with me, for him, it was like, no question, let's go on this journey together.
Oh, that's very
What about
powerful.
yourself? I'm curious to know about yourself, because you're right. There's definitely a moment where you take that leap of faith, kind of, right?
I think every big moment in your life is because little things happen first, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like you say, all those mornings when you wake up and you regret things you did, if you remember them, of course. I was doing too many things. I started this side business with a couple of friends, and I also had a 9 to 5. So I was working all the time, no time to rest, doing lots of physical work. And I discovered that business wasn't my real passion, because I firmly believe that if you're going to start a business, it has to be something that you love.
You love, absolutely. And you're such an entrepreneurial woman. So I can only imagine that it was really hard for you to go down a path that you found out that you weren't passionate about. So did you feel like you were drinking to kind of like numb those feelings? I feel that a lot of drinking is to numb certain feelings and emotions.
There are 2 things you can do. One thing is to sit down with the fear, the pain, the situation, and find out what's happening. But that is so challenging, and I think you have to be very vulnerable in order to face it. And it's way easier and way more fun sometimes to just drink it away.
And not think about it. Put it under the rug,
Under the rug, exactly.
I think
it's easier, and that's what I was doing last year when I had this business. I would literally drink every day because I couldn't sleep. I was too stressed. I had too many things going on. I didn't really know the cause of everything. And I was just covering things up. Everything was upside down. I wasn't performing well at this business or at my job. My relationships were strained. I was starting this relationship with this guy I really liked. I was really careful so that he doesn't see that side of me. Until one day I wasn't careful enough. And he saw that side of me. Fair enough, he didn't like it. That happened to me a lot of times. Until one day I was like, Natalia, what are you doing with your life? I literally was so lost, and I didn't want to talk to anyone about this because I didn't want to feel like a failure, right? Oh, you start a business, but you don't like it. Oh, you have a job, but you don't really perform well at it.
I think the biggest challenge of being sober, it's been to sit with those emotions. Because just like you said, I used to also escape from the real life situations by drinking and living a lifestyle that helped me numb certain feelings. So every time I've been stressed out this year, which has probably been one of my toughest years, and not drinking in order to numb things and sitting with my emotions has been remarkable. Because that moment is hard, but it's really courageous act, because you realize how powerful you actually are. You sit with your feelings, you think about your emotions, you deal with everything that comes up, all the old resentments and thought patterns, and you're able to kind of release it because you're so present. I think what you were talking about, the inner conflict, now I don't want people to think I'm a failure, or I'm not doing good at my relationship, and I don't want them to see this side of me. That's everyday life, but I think if we are masking it with alcohol, we're never really facing the issues head on.
We are not facing them, and what is really dangerous is that we don't even know.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we
Yeah.
think that's normal, and we see it on TV all the time. It portrays that, oh, I feel shitty, I need a drink. I need a drink.
That sentence, I need a drink, has transformed this year. There is no I need a drink. What I say more now is that I need space to sit, to meditate, to go for a quick run, breathe. I need some quality conversations. That I need a drink has changed in so many different ways.
It shows how much you've grown. Your life has literally expanded ever since you quit alcohol. I would have never, ever even considered going for a walk to feel better. Like, that wasn't a thing, at least for me.
Yeah,
I used to consider myself a city girl
Yeah.
and all those things that we see on TV and whatnot. That was me, or who I thought I was.
Yeah.
But I never thought for a second that there was way more.
Way more. There's so many simple things in life that we don't get to appreciate when we're under the influence. The happy hour would start around 4 or 5. So if I have a drink at 4 or 5 o'clock, there is no way that I would be going for a nice walk, like enjoying my walk for 20 minutes to breathe and let go. No, I would most likely have another drink because it's a dopamine hit. And that night or that evening will look different. Now, I'm dealing with myself without anything else involved. And that may include going for a simple walk for 20 minutes, which it's free. It's good for your brain. It's good for your soul. Those just the most simple things that we take for granted because we have one drink and the whole evening changes.
What are you supposed to do after you go to happy hour or whatever and just have like 2, 3, 4 drinks?
Yeah, it ends up being 2, 3, 4 drinks.
Exactly.
If you can have one glass of wine, you come home and you still can meditate and read and have great conversations with your partner and enjoy life, then fantastic, then great, good for you. No one is forcing anybody to make changes.
100%.
But I wasn't the person who would go for one drink.
To me, drinking and getting drunk would go hand in hand.
But we drank to get drunk.
Exactly.
Right? If you asked me 3 years ago to date someone who doesn't drink, I would say, hell no.
Same.
I would say no. I would say they're probably boring.
100%.
They're probably lame, and I'm going to live the most boringest life ever.
There's something wrong with them.
There's something wrong with them. Like, why would I want to live life like that?
Yeah.
We have not changed our level of fun. We still go out with friends. We still go dancing. The only thing that's changed is that we don't fight over stupid stuff. Like, their drinking, really emphasizes certain emotions. And we're not hungover the next morning. So we have a really nice time together in the mornings. We can have a drink anytime we want. We decide not to have a drink. And I think that's a pretty powerful thing.
You choose to be happy because at the end of the day, you're choosing to react certain way, and that's why your life is the way it is.
Yeah.
You are what you tolerate.
And you can't expect people to treat you with love and respect. You can't ask people to treat you a certain way, but you're not doing the same way back. And I felt I was my worst self when I was drunk.
People treat you the way you treat yourself. They know right away. The second they meet you, they're like, oh, this woman doesn't respect herself. She makes jokes about herself that are not nice. I don't respect her. The more we respect ourselves, the more we love ourselves, people are naturally gonna love us and respect us.
Yeah. They gravitate more towards you. You have better energy. You have more self-confidence. Yeah. You have more self-awareness. And then you can also filter the bullshit too. Because you're so present and you're sober, when people in a room are all drinking, you can tell people's bullshit,
Yeah,
the clients you want to work with and the clients you don't want to work with. You really see how your colleagues act in certain scenarios. You can get a really good filter when you're sober.
You start seeing, I don't want to say their real self, because when you drink, you're not your real self. But you start seeing that they are flooded, just like we are. And it's like, wow, this person has pain inside of them, and that's why they're drinking. I know people say, oh, it's because I can socialize better, I cannot network without some wine and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to drinking to numb something.
A lot of times, you're right, people do turn into alcohol and drugs because of traumas, PTSD, or some sort of rooted behavior challenges that they had as children. I started when I was young. A big part of my drinking was to be able to fit in. I moved to Canada when I was 11 years old. It was a very traumatic experience for me, leaving our home country, Iran, and I didn't know how to speak English. I mean, I learned how to speak English quite fast, but the first 2-3 years I got bullied pretty bad. And I think the change of moving here, leaving our home, leaving the environment, my mom going back to studying for her dental degree, my brother being in school all the time, my father leaving when I was 15. My friends at that time were drinking at a really early age, So I had my first drink when I was 15. I probably was drunk when I was 16. I remember coming home and throwing up and telling my mom that it was because I ate bad sushi. But being young and being a young teen as an immigrant was extremely, extremely difficult. I had to have an outlet. And the outlet was drinking and not being home because I was just sad. There was a lot of things that was happening at that time. My grandmother got really sick. She was really important to me. There was a lot of things that I just wanted to escape from when I was young. I didn't know how else to do it.
I also started young. And I didn't even know what I was doing. Things would happen at parties, and then the next day it was a little bit embarrassing, right? Especially if you're a woman.
Yeah.
And that part was so horrendous to me. And so
something
painful.
Could have happened,
Yes. I knew that alcohol was always there when bad things happened. But
it was always a common denominator.
Exactly.
Was alcohol, right?
But I didn't think, if I remove alcohol completely, my life will get better. Different. I hit rock bottom, as people say. Well, we all have different rock bottoms, right? It's not the same for everyone. And I decided to stop drinking for a while, and that pause turned into something permanent. And it's the best thing ever.
That's admirable.
And now, like you're saying, we are so into it and we're so passionate about it because we see how good it is.
Yeah, it's definitely changed both of our lives 100% for the better. And we're still in the beginning, in the early stages of our sobriety.
God, of course. Yes.
I can't even imagine what it'll be like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And I'm really excited to continue our friendship and continue learning from each other and this journey that we're on. But I think it's so important, like just like you touched base on it, it's so important to face those things. When you become sober, you start really thinking about the days that you drank and the moments that were really dark. It takes a lot of courage to be able to admit some of those things. You start realizing that you have to be kinder to yourself.
Yes.
I think that no one is perfect. We're all human. Sometimes I think about those teenage times, like why couldn't it have been like other kids, studied and studious like my brother was? Why was I the black sheep of the family? Why did I act certain ways? Sometimes those thoughts do come into my head, and then I try to push them out because I'm like, that's the way your life was. There's no going back. Thankfully and thank God, yes, you were women. I was safe. God forbid nothing happened. It's okay. We turned out great. I think we turned out into really professional and smart women. But we do have that past. And if we didn't have that past, we wouldn't be where we are today. So absolutely no regret,
Amen.
I love that. No. Here, cheers with our teas.
Cheers with our Persian teas.
Persian teas. Cheers. I have a couple of books that I want to share. Dopamine Nation by Anna Lembke. This book talks a lot about finding balance in the age of indulgence. It's not just about alcohol, about drugs, sex, porn, anything that releases dopamine.
Dopamine hits.
Yeah, it hits and then it's gone and then you have to do another hit. It's a really good book just about addiction. This Naked Mind Control Alcohol by Annie Grace. Have you read this one?
Yes.
Oh my God, this was my first book.
Me too. My first book.
And then the last one was Quit Like a Girl. And then of course we have our favorite podcasters and influencers and content creators that we both follow. I don't think I would have been able to go through it if it wasn't because of the resources available.
Like I literally started watching self-improvement videos on YouTube, and then I started to realize that many of the people who talked about this didn't drink. Like they were saying, one of the best things I've ever done is quitting alcohol. And I was like, okay.
Wow, that's cool. So who do you admire the most?
I've been listening to Dan Martell a lot. So there's something about the way he says things. Well, just like everyone, right? I started watching the Diary of a CEO.
Oh my gosh,
Right?
so good.
Yeah, I started listening a lot
Diary
to
of a CEO.
Yo,
I
that's a
started
good
that on the plane. Yeah.
Yeah?
Traveling, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh my gosh. 6 hours gone by like that.
Yeah, so good. Dr. Andrew Huberman.
Okay, oh yes.
You have to, right? He's amazing.
So good.
He's the one who actually spread the word of alcohol being bad. Like even a drop of alcohol. Because people thought that maybe I'll go
Want to drink one here, yeah.
And again, I'm not saying, hey, everyone stop drinking
No,
alcohol.
of course not.
Of course not. I don't know about you, but when I would drink, I would want greasy stuff. Something that I would have never eaten sober.
Alcohol like dehydrates you, right? So your body's really wanting that sodium, that salty thing, that fatty thing. You're not really craving a nice chicken salad.
Oh, no way. No way. I was craving things that I would regret the next day. Or, this is a little bit embarrassing, but sometimes I would order takeout and the food would arrive and I was passed out and I wouldn't even eat it. So I would say it out there, just getting cold.
Oh my god, we are the worst. Yeah, exactly. You and I.
I thought it was the only one.
No. I would go to 7-Eleven on my way home. Can't believe this stuff that I'm saying. I'll buy a pack of cigarettes. I would come home and I would eat half a pizza and then pass out and wake up with a half of other pizza next to my bed.
At least you got to eat the pizza. Sometimes I would forget there was food there.
You forgot. No, when I pay for things, I have to use them.
Oh, that's good. You were a smart girl. Did it happen to you when you were drinking? You were like, oh, I crave a cigarette.
Of course.
Right? So I think they would go
hand in hand.
Yeah, hand in hand. Of course. That was very, very bad for me. The cigarettes were gone because I would smoke the whole thing, and I would just go ask random people for cigarettes. Like, hey.
Oh my gosh. I remember the first year that I quit smoking. The first year is always the hardest. I remember I would be out with my friends when I just quit smoking. I would leave the situation because I wanted to have a cigarette. So I would come home and there were moments that I would just cry. I would cry because I wanted to have a cigarette so bad, but I wouldn't allow myself to have a cigarette. Because I was like, it's okay, it's just the thought. The thought comes and the thought goes. So I would cry in that moment and then I would get over it. I knew if I stayed out any longer or if I had more drinks, maybe I would have smoked in those really vulnerable moments.
I'm so glad it didn't happen.
Me
and
too.
Now you're 4 years cigarette
over
free.
4 years. I just don't want to take my health for granted. I love this life. I am so grateful from the moment I open my eyes to the moment I go to bed. If I have control over it, then I'm going to take that control and take good care of it.
Of course.
Things that are out of my control, they're out of my control. Another thing I wanted to add, alcohol and perimenopause, which I believe it starts from 37, 38 and onwards. There's a lot of linkage to alcohol and breast cancer and hormonal changes and stuff like that. So if you're going to quit at any time, it should probably happen before menopause because your body is starting to go through shifts and transformation. So lifestyle is super important to be able to deal with those changes. I'm actually excited to learn more about it as I'm turning 38 in 2 months. And those are things to be really mindful of. The way I feel my body now, way different.
Right?
Well, I had a personal trainer all these years and I don't even have a personal trainer now. And my body has evolved and looks better than ever before than it did when I was younger.
Wow.
Because I was drinking and I was eating crap and smoking and partying and lack of sleep. I mean, lack of sleep has so much to do with the health of your cells and rejuvenating.
I would like go to the gym and be like, yeah, I'm so healthy, I'm so fit. But why am I not looking the way I want to look or why I'm not feeling the way I want to feel? It was because of all the alcohol.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
And all the food involved.
Yeah, because it's a lifestyle.
I feel that now I'm able to be present, be more mindful of things. I would be very hard on myself.
Yeah.
But now that I'm present, I'm like, okay, buddy, I appreciate you. Yeah. I love you. And little by little, we're going to get better. We're going to get fitter. And that's the gift of sobriety. Being able to be kinder with myself, more compassionate.
I think the word of the day is being kind to yourself. You become more aligned with what's important to you. You don't kill yourself to get there. You're balanced mentally because you're so present being sober.
I love that. And before we wrap
Yeah.
up, I wanted to ask you, Kimia, since you went from being just like me, a person that would drink on a regular basis, and you thought you couldn't have fun without alcohol, what would you say to someone who kind of wants to quit but doesn't even know where to start or how it's going to affect their lives?
I started journaling a lot. I would start writing things that I was feeling. I'm not feeling great today. Today I had anxiety. I don't know exactly what I said 2 nights ago. I gave myself about 30 to 60 days to monitor my behavior with it because I always knew there was some problems there. And then I would look back and I'm like, holy cow. Every time I would write about these feelings, these emotions, I would realize that alcohol was the common denominator, just like we talked about. I think it's really important to understand the effect of alcohol physically and mentally. No amount of alcohol is good for you. Health professionals are doing these studies. They're credible sources. Look at like books that we shared today. Give yourself some credit. Coming up to a decision to quit drinking, I think it's already a really big step. And
Even
just
considering it.
and considering it or even
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
it. I have a lot of fun. You have a lot of fun. You and I go out and we don't drink. If you really think that having fun is hanging out with certain groups that drink a lot and go, to the bar all the time, well, maybe it's time to change those things. Those are personal decisions.
You will eventually realize that there are people that are not your friends.
Yeah.
Because if you stop drinking,
Are they still going to be around?
exactly. And they're doing you a favor in the end.
And maybe
Exactly.
they are in different capacities. Some of my friends love to go out and, party till 2, 3 in the morning. However, I do see them for coffee and we have really good time. Just on
Exactly.
sober moments.
For sure.
And they accepted me for who I am. And some don't care and it's okay.
You can love them from a distance, and that is
That's
fine.
it.
And I think sobriety is contagious because some
Yeah.
of our friends are starting
Yeah,
trying.
you meet more and more people that
You
are
know?
sober when you're sober. It's like the energy connects.
Yeah, you
the
start
universe brings
attracting
you
these
together
people.
100%. And
I mean, you attracted
I
each
know,
other
we did.
after we quit, not before,
No.
even though we were living in the same building.
I know.
That is beautiful. Thank you so
Thank you so
much,
much for having
Kimia.
me.
This is powerful, and hopefully it helps
I
you
hope
somehow.
so. Yes.
I know
Yes.
that when I first started my sobriety journey, I watched YouTube videos and they really helped.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing this, just to spread the word,
Yeah.
because we know that sobriety equals love. See you guys.
Mwah. Bye.